Greetings and welcome to the Stone Live, also known as the Stone Call. It's Sunday, May 17th, 2020. I'm Peter Catapano, an editor for the New York Times opinion section. The Stone is a regular feature of the opinion section that aims to look at current events, questions old and new, through the lens of philosophy. We're happy to be speaking with you now through the miracle of Zoom. I'll be joined, as usual, by Simon Critchley, the moderator of The Stone. Simon is a philosopher, New School professor, and author of many books, including Tragedy, The Greeks, and Us.
Hi there.
Hi, Simon. Today's Stone Call is Maria Bamford wants to talk about your ailment with special guest Maria Bamford. We'll be talking about protecting our mental health during the pandemic, coping with hardship, and breaking the stigma of mental illness, as well as many other things. Maria is a world-renowned comedian, yes, but so much more. Her new stand-up special, Weakness is the Brand, is on streaming services near you. A Netflix show called Lady Dynamite is available for viewing. And she also does an interview show called What's Your Ailment, where she talks with people in the entertainment industry about their own experiences with mental illness. Before we introduce Maria, a quick note to the listeners on the call. We do want to hear from you, so please submit questions in writing at any time during the event using the Q&A feature in Zoom. You should see it on your screen. We'll select some questions or comments to read and discuss on the air. Also, please note this event is being recorded. So let's get started. Hello, Maria Bamford.
Hello. Hi, Peter. Hi, Simon. Thank you so much
Hi.
for having me.
Thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah.
No problem. It increases my serotonin levels, I'm sure, to be speaking with you.
Me too.
Hopefully it will work that way for everybody involved. So it sounds like, Maria, this sounds like there's no audience, but there is several 100,000. I'm not sure how many
Millions.
callers on the line. So since you're used to the roar of the crowd and the heckling, I just want to ask all the listeners out there to give you a big round of applause in their minds.
Woo! Yeah.
I could, it's almost as though I could hear it. Okay, well, back to business. First, thank you profusely for being here. We're supposed to be objective here in journalism, but I do want to come right out and say that Simon and I both think you're great, absolutely love what you do, and very grateful for you making the time here. Simon, do you want to say hi?
Yes, absolutely, Maria. I'm very happy you do. You are my favorite American stand-up comedian. I think it's brilliant. The work is extraordinary. I was introduced to it, and I've been absorbed in the oeuvre for years. And I just want to mention, obviously the newest show, Weakness is the Brand. But then I've been back all the way back to Plan B and Old Baby and Special and Ave Maria Bamford, and a lot of the recent work, the stuff that's on Instagram, the Zoom things you're doing. There's an ocean of goodness out there, and it's fantastic, fantastic work. So I want to say that.
Oh my God!
Praise you.
Jeez, I can't even.
Okay,
I can't even
I've said
believe it. This is so.
And also, I know you hate chit chat as well. You've got this thing about don't like chit chat, like a structured communication with a hard out.
Zoom is my wheelhouse. I love to be muted. I love to mute. I love, it's just, yeah. I love a light. I love to be a buzzer to go off and say, you got to wrap up in 30 seconds. It's my favorite thing, because I think I'm naturally more of an introvert. I know people sometimes are surprised when comedians are introverts. Oh, don't you love to hang out and have a great time? No. The reason I did stand-up comedy because I had terrible OCD and could not feel safe connecting with other people unless I was amplified, lit, and about 10 feet away from them.
Do you secretly prefer doing comedy without a live audience? I sometimes wonder about that. Watching the some of the short things you've done and the things from home and the, I don't know. The last thing I saw was the, baby Jesus leaving messages on your mother's answer phone, and I think you're really enjoying the intimacy of this.
Yeah, I love one-on-one or small crowds. It, there's something about, and I think this may be a Midwestern Minnesota thing, where I feel embarrassed by huge crowds. Like if it's like over 500 people, I just go, oh, this is ridiculous. Like when I see specialist stand-ups who have like 1,000 people, which is wonderful and is great, or that's an incredible career when you have a stadium full of people laughing at your material. But that's not what I was interested in. Maybe 10 to 300. 300 is a little too many.
Well, special is what too? Is your mom and dad, right?
It's just my mom and dad, who is really who I've been hoping to please this whole time. And I hope that this is recorded, because I've got to get my mom to listen to it, because she will be. Yeah, my sister and I are in direct competition 50 years in. And
get that from the work. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I think I'm going to be winning this week, being on a New York Times podcast. So next week it'll definitely be my sister, because my sister lives in my hometown of Duluth and actually takes care of them take day to day. So she's doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah, the good sister.
She's actually a good person, which.
So we do have a topic here, though, so I'm going to sort of pull it. Yeah, I forgot about that too. We're having so much fun, but we do want to talk a little bit about something that's a theme in your work and in your life, and that's mental health and mental illness. And so you've been in show business for, I think it's more than 20 years now, right? Doing stand-up, acting, voiceovers, and basically making a living getting people to laugh. So can you tell us, and really for people who don't know your story so well, how mental health became a part of your public profile and your work, and why you decided to make it part of your work rather than keeping it private?
Yeah, well, when I was about 9 years old, I stopped being able to sleep at night. I started to have intrusive thoughts, fear that I was going to harm my family and friends violently or sexually, which was shocking and terrifying. And so I started going to therapy. I told my mom, and she was like, what? And they sent me to a Christian therapist, which, they did their best. And I would just sleep on her couch, because that was really what I needed, was sleep. But that progressed. I developed an eating disorder. And then I eventually got help. I called a suicide hotline, I think when I was 19, and eventually got help through a lot of free resources, 12-step and otherwise, to get kind of stable. I was always pretty functional, I think, as a bipolar 2 person, in that yeah you know how it can seem like, oh, you're doing fine as long as you're still producing, which I think is still very much a thing in our society, and definitely in show business. It does not matter if other things are falling apart. If you can hit your mark and say your lines, nobody cares. So then I was doing stand-up, and I think, like many people, not who don't just have mental illness, but in life, go, oh, I think I'm going to feel better when I achieve some success. And that, in fact, did not happen. And so I eventually went for help for the OCD, which when I was 35, I finally Googled some of the stuff that I was worried about, and up came all these OCD sites. And I started to I went to a therapist, got some help. I was cured basically of it within a couple of months of therapy sessions.
Was that Cheryl Hersham?
No, that's her couples therapist, Cheryl Hersham.
Okay.
But who is only $20 copay. Oh my God, she's so great. She's actually, her real name is Carol Grisham. I will say it out loud because she is a fantastic therapist and she takes insurance.
Wow.
But yeah, exactly. And yeah, so, but I really didn't have anything else to talk about in comedy except my
Mm.
experiences. And so when I finally got some help from about the OCD, I started talking more openly about that. I started, uh, and when I heard laughs from people, it was
Mhm.
just so, and obviously using exaggerated joke styles, like, do you sometimes not want to eat baby carrots because it looks like the genitals of the baby Jesus, or whatever that gets laughs, but also is that recognition factor. So that was, I think, and as I've grown older, it's like it's grown more meaningful to me. I love open book accounting. I just go, I, I would, I don't mind telling people everything that's happening. In fact, I love attention, so there's that added value.
Mhm.
But I, if it helped somebody that they knew they weren't alone with something that tortured me for years, or when I was eventually diagnosed with bipolar and went in the psych wards and felt ashamed about that, then oh my, what, of course talk about it, because I'm
Yeah.
a comedian, so nobody
Mhm.
cares. Like everyone's like,
Right.
I don't have some reputation to uphold, which of course is the sad thing about most professions, is that there's definitely prejudice and stigma about being open, you know, uh, and about having any um, uh, things in place for employees who have mental illnesses to still
Yeah.
be able to have a job. Um, yeah, just like any other disability, it's the same deal.
Yeah.
Um,
I think a lot of people, since everyone's sort of been driven home to work from home and produce, weirdly sort of produce from your living room what you were producing at work. I think people are probably still relying a lot on that, uh, hitting those marks as as an affirmation. But I'm also sure now that we're, in the third month of a lockdown, that a lot of people are sort of
Mhm.
melting down and
yes,
having to keep up a front. And
yes.
I'm melting down. I really
yeah,
am.
Yes, Simon. I was going to
Yeah.
ask you, Peter and Simon, what things are you doing that are free, like that don't cost any money, that are helping, or what are your experiences with, yeah, not going mad?
Well, I mean, I'm a bit of an introvert too, so in a way, this suits me. There's a kind of there's some exposure here. Teaching on Zoom and all of that is strange, but it's okay. But so I'm coping, but I'm not sure I like the fact that I'm coping. I think
Hmm.
yeah,
reveals something much more messed up about myself than I'd care to admit in public, which I suppose is what I'm doing now. So yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm coping, and that makes me worry. Well, why am I coping so well?
yeah,
What's wrong with you?
yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah. No, I could relate with that, with the desire for wanting quarantine to stop, and yet going, but I might miss it because
Right.
it's been kind of great me not having to go to parties at all.
Absolutely.
How about you,
Absolutely.
Peter? How about
Yeah, I found that I definitely was doing a lot more things socially than I actually wanted to do. So I didn't miss that part, even though I love my friends and family. Uh, Going out is very draining, and not going out was a bit of a relief. But the monotony is hard. I've been trying to walk a lot. I know you told me you got 4,000 steps today. I think that's pretty good. Um,
thank you,
I I
thank
I
you.
I obsess over food. I try to plan obsessively plan all the meals for my wife and daughter starting at 7 a.m. and they consequently don't eat with me anymore.
Oh no.
But I'm a pretty good cook, so it's working out well for me. And then binge watching TV and having a drink at the same time every night is pretty much my therapy.
Well,
Right.
and that's I mean, I think at least the one thing I worry about with people during this time is the access to mental health that is care that is at all, especially if you have
Mhm.
no income, if they're because I can't imagine y- 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 I mean, I know before the crisis, I text the suicide hotline just to see how long it takes to get somebody on the horn.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was 45 minutes. And this was
Oh,
texting, which, you know, hopefully you'd stay on the phone that long. My preference is just to call 911 if I'm thinking of killing myself. Or anyone, call Domino's. They'll always pick up. For real, like I don't think there has to be this guideline of what kind of, just reach out to anybody can save your life at some point.
yeah.
And I'm not, of course I don't love the politics of Domino's, but it does deliver. uh and you might get a nice employee on the phone. I once dialed 0 for an operator off a payphone, and the guy told me that he would love me even though I was a failure in life. I got the operator to tell me
Really?
yes.
Wow.
Now payphones are few and far between now, but I think, yeah, just yeah,
It's
they're
a story about affirmation.
yeah,
You
well,
got your
and
phone.
yeah, and you can I think I can't wait to hear what people have done to yeah, try to get some kind of, and also try to get meds, like, because I know meds are so hard to get um on county or free clinic uh terms anyways, like
Mhm.
how people are maintaining their prescriptions.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is kind of not to get serious for a second, but uh, there definitely are lots of people struggling at home and with their families, whether they have diagnosed mental illness or not. And I sort of feel like the message there is that uh, it's better not to wait for the sanctioned, expensive, covered health insurance when you have possible resources right around you, uh, people you can talk to, lines you can call, and that you want to encourage people to do that, if I'm reading you correctly.
yeah, or just go out, put, right on the front of your t-shirt, I need help, and then just stand somewhere and see what happens. Like
Yeah.
Right.
I lower the bar of, I mean, I've been to some terrible therapists who have gotten a lot of training, and I've also met some lovely people who have no therapy training at all.
Mhm.
So, like, yeah,
So I should get my Truly Madly Deeply t-shirt out and just cross out Truly
oh,
and
just madly,
just madly.
just madly.
Okay.
Um, no, just start yelling things, uh, and yeah, just I think there is, because yeah, definitely everyone's experiencing it, and yeah.
But Maria, one thing I was noticing just now, just literally half an hour ago, I was sitting on the bed eating some tuna salad, and I was doing my research. I was watching you, thinking, and it crossed my mind. I've never realised how much you shout in some of your routines.
Oh
Bellow,
yes,
you bellow, and it's
yes.
and there's the bellowing issue. Firstly, I want to talk about what I really want to talk to you about is just ask you about. This is not talk,
Yes.
just ask. Is the thing that I remember when I first saw one of your long routines with the voices, and just thinking, what is going on with these voices, and how the control of the voices, kind of unreal control of the voices, and the way in which you can shift between as it were, your own voice and then you'll adopt the shift between, say, you and Christy Coombs,
Yeah.
the high school nightmare. And it's not just the voice, it's your whole body changes. It's extraordinary. And the way you use voices is just, it's extraordinary. I just wondered, do you find that is that liberating because it's not you? Is that it?
Yes, yeah. It's, I mean, because my own voice, has not, is not an attention getter, and some people find it irritating. So if I can modify my voice, also I love, losing myself in a different character, but it's definitely a part of who I am. Like Christy Coombs is definitely a part of me, because part of me thinks people should just suck it up.
Yeah, suck it up.
And
You're not funny, you're just weird.
You're just okay. And why, I want my rights as an American, and we're not going to wear a mask right now, just because it's just not, I don't know anyone around me who has it. Okay. Anyways, that's but
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, which I'd love to, and then I'm doing another. It's on versions of people that I knew, but also it is part of me. I have a friend from Amy Sleeverson, who she runs a multi-level marketing camp. But that she developed herself because she couldn't afford to get in Mary and Martha, which is the most popular Christian multi-level marketing. That's $99. So I made my own. And she sells lesser known quotes from the Bible on pillows and tchotchkes. Things like Judges 19, a concubine was sliced by her owner into 12 pieces and sent into the all corners of Israel. Anyways, it's a weighted blanket because it makes you think. But I think and doing my family, I think, has been very therapeutic, just sort of being able to control whatever my mom says to me. Right. And it's a real comfort to put words in.
And your father, your imitation of your father is it's extraordinary.
They
the throat clearing.
Well, speaking of mental health, my parents did they did ayahuasca, or they said they were going to do ayahuasca. No, we read in the New York Times that it's Michael Pollan's doing it. So honey, we found this guy, and we Googled shaman, and we found this guy in Crystal, Minnesota. So we're going down there, and we're going to do it, because my mom's has stage 4 lung cancer. So she was wanting to kind of see death, what the afterlife might be like or whatever. And I called the shaman and said, hey, Paul, hey, Paul.
The shaman.
Hey, man. My mom has cancer. Also, my mom is on the bipolar spectrum, and my dad has a heart condition. What are you doing? But it turns out my parents wimped out, and my dad, I said, hey, could I take mushrooms instead? And I got angry at him because it's supposed to be a religious ceremony. You can't just say, hey, can you put 2 rocks and a lime back there? If you got that, I'd appreciate it, into the blood of the transfigurated Christ. But yeah, so they're ridiculous. And my mom is doing good, by the way.
Pleased to hear it.
Yes, yeah, but yeah.
Are there voices that you don't do anymore? Because I've noticed that in the work there are voices which have dropped out.
Yes, I don't do my sister. My sister has actually had a fairly large change in her life. She was a physician, a pathologist, and then she left medicine and became sort of a healer, life coach. Mm-hmm. And I think she lives in the smaller town in Duluth, and I think it is much more difficult to have somebody saying, oh, I saw your sister doing an impersonation of you, and what do you think of that? Like Los Angeles, I can do an impersonation of someone and never see them again. But my sister has to go to the grocery store and have, someone say, I heard, Maria said, what she just said about you. Um, so fair enough. Yeah, but yeah, and I don't. Yeah, everybody in my family is dealing with this stuff differently. My 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 mom. It's funny when you think of death, like what you double down on. And my mom, honey, I just want to be around long enough for those crate and barrel pillows I special ordered to come in for summer, because I just think those are going to look great on the deck. And then I was glad that your father, he felt guilty, so he got me a scale that I've always wanted, where I can see my body fat percentage.
Still engaged.
Well,
Yes.
sometimes you want to get in a size 6 coffin, even though if it's tight around the hips, eventually it'll fit.
It's true.
Anyways, so, but that's been a thing for me to do comedy. It is lovely to hear laughs on Zoom. But I do miss crowds. But I don't miss the driving.
Right.
Yeah. So that went really fast. We still have time, but it is time to to do the Q&A. So the way this works is I have questions here that have come in, have been nicely edited and sent to us by our producers, and I'm going to read them to you, and you can answer. Is that good?
Yes, please.
Okay, good. We have a question from Colin, who asks, actually all of us, do you have specific coping mechanisms you've developed over time to deal with non-crisis level depression? Do you have go-to TV, movies, comedies, things that cheer you up?
Yes. Again, I love things that are free. So things that really have helped me is any kind of friendship. I have a low level of expectation for friendship too. My friend Jackie Keisha has a great joke about friendship. Like, just stand next to anybody and start mumbling. Like, there's no, like, let's not get into, oh, they're the greatest, or, just do anything. And so that, and then I definitely drink coffee. Cold brew is a way to start the day. I also do a ton of 12-step groups, and I am an atheist. So the one rule about Fight Club is that they cannot kick you out, which even if I have a bottle of Jack Daniels and I'm eating ice cream cake with a stolen porn DVD, all they can say is, can you keep it? Oh, she's a newcomer. Oh, keep coming back. So it's just, I do go there because I believe in cognitive behavioral science, and that it's important to commune with others. And I do believe in some of that process that they go through in the 12 steps is helpful, like to notice patterns and how to change them. I'm not a believer in God at all, but it is also 12-step free, and that's what I very much believe in. Let me see. As far as comforting myself, I have a pet dog.
The pugs.
Yep. And exercise helps. I never want to do it. I'm also on meds, and I stay on my meds even though they have shitty side effects. I'm tired a lot of the time. I sleep probably 12 hours a night. I'm not the most high functioning person, but I'm not weeping and thinking of death all the time. So that's an upside of that. So
is there a downside to that, in the sense that you talked about that in public before, and I just think about that in relationship to your work? I mean, do you think there's you sleep, you're yeah.
Well,
but do you find that your writing has changed?
I don't think so, because at least the last 10 years, I mean, the thing is, I'm alive, who knows? I don't mean to be dramatic, but I do think there is, I just think uh, the what was amazing to me was to be stable, was just a new feeling that I'd never had, of just kind of being able to generally enjoy things from day to day,
Hmm.
was odd and delightful. So, I mean, not to say that things aren't perfect. I can still feel depressed. My husband is also on the bipolar spectrum. We both have our I will not commit suicide contracts, both signed by ourselves and our family therapist. It's up on the
Wow.
refrigerator. So if you come over,
Right.
we don't have our children's pictures. We have no children. But you know, like it's yeah. I if I have lost anything, I don't care. I don't
Right.
care.
Doesn't sound like you've lost anything.
Yeah. I'll appreciate that.
Okay, I have a question here from Cody. He asks, he or she, I'm not sure. So many of us get a mental health bump from performing on stage. I guess Cody is a performer.
Yeah.
Obviously, that isn't an option right now. Do you have any advice for those of us who suddenly have less medium for expression?
Oh my God. Well,
Excellent question.
if you want to frighten yourself, which is that's part of show business, is kind of
Hmm.
putting yourself through anything. You know, do a show on your front lawn or in
Yeah.
your apartment building, or you know, like socially distanced or whatever in the courtyard or in a parking lot with it, like do something maybe just for 3 people and
Mhm.
have a live show that way. Instagram, I know Zoom, even when I've had Zoom shows where it's only been a few people watching, has really been lovely. And I've done Zoom
Mhm.
shows with just one-on-one to people, and that's also, if you get somebody who loves to laugh, it's the exact same feeling. So I would just, challenge yourself, especially if you're, because talked to some comics or performers who are afraid to try, uh, try the new things or technology or whatever. Yeah, that's what will get you excited again, is to try something new. Because I was afraid, I'm still afraid to do Zoom. Oh my God. I do a Zoom show every week, and every week I screw something up where it's like there's at least a dozen people saying, I tried to get in and the passwords didn't work, and I'm really disappointed. I've been a big fan, but I guess, don't meet your heroes. And
Right.
and then I refund their $5, and everything is well again. But
But
uh
you've played with audience size in a way in which I guess few comics have. I think there's a sense in which there's in the US there's all the big stadium comedian and elsewhere too. But I forget which special it is where you begin with your husband, I think, and then it's two, then you're in a bookstore, and then you're outside on the lawn, and then you're outside the lawn at night and there's 20 people, and then you're in a stadium, then
yeah,
you're in a club, and you're moving, you someone that's moved between audience size very nimbly.
and that's what I thought was that was the concept of it was funny, which probably wasn't funny to anybody else, but because I don't know if you've had this where it's like, well, I'm sure everybody has it, where it's like, you tell one person what you do and they're like, huh, really? Okay. Then they see it in a different venue, and maybe a few other people see it and they go, oh, it's real. Okay, I see. And then maybe, like, I had this friend who would see me, and then she goes, then I saw you on TV, and I was like, she's good. And then it's like just perception and the context of having all the lights and the music and the cutting to people laughing is so suggestive to people that something's good
Mm.
Yeah.
or that something's funny is really hilarious to me. Like, just that, I mean, it's just like museums, like, you go to a folk art, you find somebody's folk art that's been dusty and in the back of a barn for 80 years. And then all of a sudden it's lit and it's put in a white room and everyone's like, this is amazing. These cardboard cutouts of little boys. And I mean, which it is amazing and it's always been amazing, but yeah.
Well, you kind of reveal the form. You kind of pull away the veil in your work repeatedly, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the special. You've got that so you're just with your mum and dad, and then, but then you begin with you doing your hair. You're not made up. You're talking about the show. Then the show begins. So
yeah.
you're constantly doing that moving between different.
Yeah,
frames.
and that was just out of laziness. I was feeling terrible after being hospitalized, and I just didn't. Needed to put out, earn money, and put out this hour of material I had, and I thought, what's the easiest way I can do it? Just get my parents to come out, and they watch it, and I'll just do it in my own house, and yeah, and I did pay my parents $600 a piece.
Nice.
And
they were integral, though. It would not have been as good without them.
no,
They're
exactly.
just like,
even though they don't, my dad has a hearing aid, so I'm not sure if he heard half of it, but I think that's
you
probably
seem
the
to be
best
laughing
audience.
at the right
Yeah.
time. That leads me sort of to a related question from Andrea, who asks, because you mentioned you were not feeling like you wanted to work at the time. How do you get your sense of humor back when you feel like you've lost it?
Yeah, and definitely have compassion for yourself. Like when I'm feeling so terrible, and definitely I'm feeling okay because I'm on meds. I'm a believer in meds. I've definitely done, and this is a very Los Angeles thing. Do you really need meds? Why don't you change your diet? I found that with sugar and white flour, without it, I'm much more conscious in my relationships. Like I've tried everything. And I just, so to really have compassion for yourself, but that it is not your fault. Like it could be a brain chemistry thing. And also if it's has any involved with any trauma or grief that you have, that there is a normal amount of time to go through when you can kind of process something. Like I know I wasn't able to talk about being in the psych ward or being uh, going through OCD therapy until I was kind of done with it, Yeah. So I think to give yourself some time if it's that kind of situation. Also, I keep forgetting to say, I don't know what I'm talking about at all. Please,
Not a doctor.
please do not take anything that I say seriously. I do not know what I'm doing all the time. So yes.
Right. We're not giving medical advice. We
Yes.
probably should have said that in the
Oh,
phone.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Uh,
I have a question from William now. We have a couple more good ones, so I just want to squeeze them in
great.
there. Do you think being an artist helped or hindered you in steering you away from self-harm?
I think it helped a lot, just because, and this is specifically to stand up, but it's kind of like a support group, an open mic, where you get to hear what's going on in somebody's brain for 3 minutes at a time. And there is a certain sense of, community in that, and also a lack of shame. Like anybody can get up and say whatever awesome thing. And that's wonderful. Also, I think there was definitely there was no problem when I had a breakdown. I called my manager, said, "Hey, I'm going to the hospital. I've got to cancel all these gigs." My manager said, "Oh yeah, I've got a couple other clients who are bipolar. Just call me when you're out." Like
Right.
it was not. So definitely being art, and I have worked full time in corporate as a secretary, and I think those environments definitely aren't as understanding. You like, yeah, mental health is, yeah, it's just, it's heartbreaking how little tolerance people have for, kind of making a virtual ramp for someone with mental illness to be able to have a job. Um, I know I talked Ellen Sachs, who works at USC. She has schizophrenia and it does a lot of work with the legal rights of people with mental illness. And there's virtually no one else, I believe, except her, who is out about having schizophrenia and being
Hmm.
a professional, which is just, that's just so heartbreaking, because I'm sure there are people who are not just coping but thriving, but have to remain closeted. And
Yeah, so you make a distinction somewhere in one of the, this is maybe in the Ave Maria Branford, between speakable and unspeakable tragedy. A speakable tragedy would be, I just hit a deer with my car.
yeah.
An unspeakable tragedy would be a deer just ate my brother. And in a sense, there's a kind of, there's the levels of unspeakable tragedy are still immense with us. There's all sorts of stigma. I think it's improved, but not gone away by a long way.
Yeah, but I do think the arts are delightful, like just much more accepting, and I think can be a beautiful place to make your camp.
Yeah, great. I have another question here from Tyler. Tyler asks, this is a good question. How do you get out of an obsessive and or compulsive thought spiral, which I know you've you've spoken a lot about, especially if it happens on a day you may have a show?
Oh, I outreach. So I go to I mean, whoever you want to call, but call anybody. And I would, if you're traveling, I don't know if you're doing road work, but if you're traveling, put it on social media. Like, say, hey, I'm here. Does anybody want to go to lunch? Like, just and that's one of the reasons when I was traveling, I would meet people to rehearse my jokes for an hour over a table with somebody at a coffee shop, because it helps me not only professionally but mentally. I don't feel as depressed. I feel like I know somebody in town. Yeah, so whatever that might be to you, I call up, people in my 12-step group, just because that's what I'm down with. But call other comics and go where the love is. Don't go to the comic. I have some comic friends who are pretty harsh. Who'll be like, oh, are you going crazy, Bamford? Yes, in fact, I am. Yeah, so which I like that about comedy, that people can be harsh, but yeah, definitely. But just outreach, and you're not alone. Even if some people act like tough guys, from what I can tell, it's scary to perform or really to attend any job. I remembered I'd have to get my courage up to go to work. So just get as much support as you can about it, even if it seems like, oh, I shouldn't need the support. I do. I need to call 3 people just to stay at a job sometimes, because I am uncomfortable. I would prefer to be alone beneath a blanket and obsessively thinking, or yes, about something that I perceive I can control, like our knife drawer.
Well, I think we have time for one more question. I'll ask you one more question, then we'll wrap up.
Can I just
Simon,
interject something really quickly?
Sure.
It's just that this is where I think the idea of weakness is the brand that you use. You're talking about that in relationship to your tremor and but it's so important that we have the public displays of strength are still so evidently important. Pathetic public displays of strength. And I'm thinking about, the masked versus the unmasked at the moment. That
Mm,
to be masked is to appear weak, and
mm,
that is so important to do right now. And yeah. So
yeah. And that I mean, I think that's definitely a thing with mental health. Like it's like you keep it together, or you should be able to deal with it with whatever out, like exercise, religion, your family and friends should be able to understand. And it's like, no, sometimes you need extra. You need to go outside the um yeah, and I don't, the mask thing is so odd, but um people don't want to, but anyways, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, okay. Well, let's end with a question from Brian, who asks,
Okay.
how can a person become more comfortable with asking for help? How do you get to that place?
It's uncomfortable. It's awful. I hate it. I hate
Mm,
it. I hate, especially when you start doing better and then you got to ask for help again.
mm,
Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, no, like I have trouble with, um, sometimes with business stuff, with QuickBooks and, like understanding that, or Zoom. And I just go, oh, I have to ask somebody how to do this or to help me with this. And it's embarrassing. And just know that it may not be feel good at all to ask for help.
right.
And like that's kind of sometimes help me is like, I think sometimes I always thought if I was in the right job, I would always want to do it. And it turns out no matter what job I have, even when I'm star of my own TV show, I don't want to go to work. Uh, I
Right. It's
never
important
want
to
to
remember. Yeah.
go.
That would be very popular.
I
Um,
do
Mhm.
not want to go to work, even when someone's bringing me a delightful meal every 3 hours to
uh,
my trailer. Turns out I would like to stay home
yeah.
again beneath a blanket, thinking about our knife drawer.
On that note, um, unfortunately, I'm very sad to say that we have to wrap up.
Oh.
It is, it is,
Oh,
but we'll move on. Um, I also want to mention, Maria, you said you were doing shows
Zoom
on
shows.
Zoom shows, and that you're doing some philanthropy related to that. Do you want to mention that before we go?
Yes. Doing them on Zoom. So you PayPal me $5 or whatever you got. $1 is fine. 50 cents. I think it's $1 is the minimum. To Maru Bamfoo, MAROO dash Bamfoo on Venmo, and not PayPal, Venmo. And then I send you the link. Hopefully that works. If I don't, I refund you the money, and it's a wonderful, and I hope it's, yeah, added value, because a celebrity is giving you, you're just constantly in this loop of paying $5 and then getting it back. But it's on this Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, so 6 p.m. Eastern, and yeah, do a full hour of new material, and
Wow.
it's lots of fun.
Great. And you donate some of that.
Oh yes, donate it to.
Yeah.
Most of it we've raised over $15,000 for the Los Angeles Downtown Women's Center, which helps and houses the women of the Skid Row neighborhood in downtown LA.
Right. I just wanted everyone to know you weren't just pocketing all
Oh
those
Jesus,
fives,
no.
all those
Oh
fives. Yeah.
no.
Um, okay.
I got.
Well,
I could. Yeah, I take a few hundred just to pay for the Zoom every month.
yes, I know. Wasn't really checking up on you, but thank you.
No, I know.
Um,
I have the QuickBooks files.
okay, great. All right, so we have to sign off now. Thank you both. Thank you all listeners and readers for joining us today. Special thanks to Maria. This conversation is part of a slate of digital events the Times is producing to help readers navigate the world we find ourselves in today. Tomorrow, that's Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern, Tara Parker Pope, founding editor of Well, and guest Dr. Shan So Lin we'll discuss how to live life to the fullest in our new normal. To see
Wow.
all upcoming, I thought that's what we did, but I guess they're going to do their version. To see all upcoming digital events, please visit Times Events at nytimes.com. Thank you to everyone, Maria, Simon, and we look
And
forward.
Maria, thank you so much for
Oh,
doing
no,
this.
thank you so
Really,
much. It was
yeah.
really
No,
fun.
you're brilliant. You're brilliant.
Oh,
Yeah, sure.
so lovely. Thank you. All right,
All
signing
right,
off.
we're signing off now. Thanks again to everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.